Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 126 until I'm a YouTube millionaire. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about psychological, spiritual, physical, emotional layering. What exactly is that? Well, let me put it to you this way. And this attaches to needing to have something repeated to you at least 6 times before you remember it or can, recall it in any reasonable way. But let me put it to you this way. Of all the books that I'm reading, and this applies to anybody, do you think that unless I've got a eidetic memory, also known as a photographic memory colloquially, that I would be able to remember everything that I read in every single book that I've read over the course of my entire life? Obviously, that's a ridiculous notion. It doesn't happen. No. What you do with the psychological layering and the books that you read and the media that you consume is in each one of those pieces of media, you are discerning the lowest common denominator from that and how it applies to you. The lowest common denominator, or kernel of truth, and how it applies to you, you're probably not even going to remember consciously, unless you write it down at least half a dozen times, unless you apply it at least a few times, unless you teach other people about it at least a few times. You're not going to remember it. So what does it come down to? What's the purpose of it all? Our memories are not very good. They're the best memories on the entire face of the planet. No other species even comes close to our memory, except maybe elephants. And they're not as smart as we are. So it's not the memory. What is it? It's the subconscious piece and how that improves your intuitive decision making. You remember the core of who and what you are through the media that you absorb and the lowest common denominator from those pieces of media that you glean from them. So let me give you an example. This book, I'm currently reading it, No Longer Human is what it's called. I'm not going to remember the details of this book going forward. When I'm done, in 10, 15 years, I'll remember the basic plot line, sure. I won't remember the details of it. What will I remember? That highly intelligent people, which is the main character of this story, tend to be very depressed, very isolated, and have a great amount of pain internally. I will also remember something that I have heard from many a person, both Japanese and otherwise, because this is a Japanese book, that the Japanese people are very dark people. Not evil or anything like that, but they have morbid thoughts, morbid perspectives on the world for good reason. We live in a depraved world, a very difficult one. And they just see it better than almost anyone else. And by the way, the main character in this story is a Christian. He's kind of a nominal one, but he is a Christian. At least he states as much. So you're not trying to glean from it specific details. And this is never the way it works. You glean from it a way to better live your life. What is your underlying imperative for your entire life? The reason you're here, your personal mission. Mine? Serve Jesus, serve God. And that means to love humanity, and that means to advance humanity. So, I glean from this book the darkness of the Japanese spirit, and what I say in my mind, heart, and soul, I need to have compassion for them. love, empathy, which I do. Very much so. I'm not going to forget that. That's attached to my subconscious. That's attached to my heart and soul. And by the way, connecting to that yet more, I'm writing of that specific idea in my novel series. The female lead, her name is Emily, is half Japanese in my book, in my novel series. And it superficially appears that she is the deepest, darkest evil that exists. But she's not. And you will find that. You'll discover it at close to the end of the story. And it's going to be a very extensive one. You cannot write all the information that needs to be read or written. You have to have a threshold. Mine's 1 million words in my novel series before I will feel like I have adequately explained what I'm trying to get across. You can't get it all, but you'll get enough. So I attach that, the darkness of the soul of the Japanese people, because they can see how depraved the world is much better than almost anyone else. And that is ingrained in my subconscious. And I'm going to take that forward in the best way possible to make the world a better place. That is what psychological layering means. So absorb the very best material, the very best media that you possibly can in order to do that. There you go. All right, guys. Love y'all. Peace.